Tag TV and Tag Radio. Be seen and heard by both technology users and technology producers throughout the state of Georgia and around the world. Low cost, big benefits, powerhouse online branded video and audio has arrived. Tag TV, Tag Radio, there's a lot more to know. This edition of Tech Talk is brought to you by GlobalSpeak.com, new media consultants, corporate video and audio communications, video and audio production and distribution, live and virtual event production. Tag TV and Tag Radio is a service of GlobalSpeak.com, creatively delivering powerful marketing, video, and audio solutions. You could say it's science fiction, but it's really reality. You know, how work gets done and who's doing the work. It's a paradigm, well, that has dramatically shifted. Today's enterprise leaders face the challenge of staffing, finance, accounting, and then there's the ultimate challenge of facing the ever and rapidly changing world of IT trends. One looming question for most expanding companies, do I outsource my IT development, to India, Mexico, Dallas? How about Augusta? Greetings, everyone. It's Tuesday, April 24th, 2012, and this is Tech Talk with Technology Association of Georgia President Tino Mantella. I'm your guest host, Frank Baia. Up to the Tech Talk, is there a trend towards moving IT development back onshore? Are companies realizing cost savings of the past? What about quality and efficiency issues? It's a Tech Talk all about a different model than traditional consulting and staffing as we gain the insights of 22 years of client interaction and extensive consulting expertise from Wade Hughes, managing partner of the Intersect Group. Wade is the strategic visionary for the rapidly expanding New Era consulting firm as it is experiencing continuous growth nationwide. The underpinning of the firm's goal to create a different and better business partner to its clients is their distinct, flexible delivery approach. Wade details that strategy and more as he shares his deep understanding of the intersection of finance, accounting, and IT gained from a career in public accounting and large financial systems integration consulting. A former practice director for Arthur Andersen and a founding entrepreneur of his own technology company, Wade provides an unmatched perspective on current and future economic environments, IT trends, and a new paradigm on the business culture he calls his mission, and that is to succeed by serving. The Tech Talk makes a flexible delivery of the right solution at the right time to achieve success as we greet Wayne Hughes, managing partner, the Intersect Group. Wade, welcome to Tech Talk.
Hi, Frank. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
I think we could probably pick any year over the last decade or so and say, boy, what a great year to be involved in technology because it just seems to be so exploding. A lot of times we try to describe it with dynamic or fluid or dynamic fluidity. I think anymore it's exponential, but even phantasmagoric. It gets a little magic dust in it. The reason I say that is that knowing what we'll be covering later on based on the reputation of the Intersect Group, certainly you've seen radical changes for the good in terms of how medium to small to medium-sized enterprises, larger even, regional, even national, possibly global, are leveraging managed services or leveraging the, if you will, outsourcing of a lot of their IT-type responsibilities to focus on their core. I mean, as never before, a businessman that can actually be just that. Maybe describe a little bit from your perspective. Would you agree with the overview that I'm discussing, and maybe go into some dynamics and particulars about what you guys are into?
Yes, Frank, I appreciate that. At the Intersect Group, we've seen a lot of these trends, and I agree with you about the great time to be in technology. I think we had one blip recently in 2009, which was a frightful year, but other than that, it's been pretty explosive. And a lot of that change is driven by just the onset of game-changing technologies in the BI space, in the mobile space, particularly mobile, and then just a global shift in resources with offshoring and managed services. So there's been all kinds of dynamic changes, and it seems to be the pace just continues to pick up as it always tends to do in technology. But, the most recent trends I think we're seeing especially particularly interesting related to the outsourcing is we're beginning to sense a little bit of a shift back to onshoring, or at least a better balance. I think a lot of organizations were shipping things off maybe before it was ready, and they realized that they threw too many things offshore. Typically what we coach our clients on is that if you're going to be doing prototypes in phase 1 and possibly phase 2 of project development or application development, you want to do those things here, and then you can shift more the upgrades and maintenance offshore that requires a little less dynamic interaction with the business user. So that's one of the interesting trends, I think, that some people may or may not be feeling yet, but we're starting to see quite a bit of it. But certainly with cloud-based computing, with driving everything to the handheld, especially on business intelligence front, it's amazing some of the technologies that are available. And from a personal standpoint, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing to be sitting in a movie theater looking at your financial reports, but that's what you're now capable of doing.
I come from the other. I kind of balance that out. I come from the side where the Corona beer commercial and the guy is sitting in a Chase lounge and takes the mobile device and skips it across the water, and I'm over it.
Well, that's what I feel like doing sometimes.
Well, certainly, the consulting and staffing model has been around for some time. You could almost say that over a period of time it kind of got pretty predictable, almost traditional. Tell me a little bit about some of the different models. Maybe if I understand correctly, you've developed a different model for what we'll call traditional consulting and staffing. Get into a little detail about that.
Yeah, you bet. We call it different and better. That's our tagline of the Intersect Group. We do believe we've created quite a unique model here. I came from the consulting world. I was 13 years at Arthur Andersen, and starting in the accounting side and moving into the consulting side. But
hence reading financial statements in movie theaters. Now I'm getting
exactly. Now you know where I'm coming from. But back then it was on a orange screen and dot matrix printer. But I think our model really combines the traditional Big Four. As a matter of fact, the salary consulting folks that we have and the methodologies we follow all were originated because we all came from Big Four. But the staffing side, we believe we have a much higher level of service and a much more knowledgeable service force that is dealing with our clients, and it's giving the clients that flexibility because most of the clients we deal with, which are all CFOs, CIOs, and everyone in their organization that are leading initiatives, any given day they're going to need a new person on their staff to fill a hole, or they're going to need just an extra set of arms and legs on a project that they're running internally, or they're going to need somebody with expertise and bandwidth to take something out of house and do a turnkey solution. So, a lot of our clients actually are dealing with all three of those things at one time. So we firmly believe that we are a great one-stop shop in those two functions of finance, accounting, and IT to provide the right resource at the right time and at the right price. Because depending on the risk and the different complexities involved, then there are different pricing components to each of those types of services. I
think, there isn't a single business person that isn't challenged by the day-to-day dynamics of their own specific industry, no less trying to keep up with whatever the latest technologies are. And even now we've got delivery systems and, as you mentioned, mobile digital devices that allow for dynamics that you can never do before. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing that having a trusted partner, if you will, in a long-term relationship, somebody that isn't just called in on an ad hoc basis, but comes in, does what we would call in our industry a situation analysis. I'm not exactly sure what you guys call yours, but looks at what's going on and then tells you, here's what you can do, here's what you need to do, and then here's a process to help you do it. Kind of walks you through the process. Is that kind of describe what you're seeing as a trend as far as the relationship between IT consulting and a lot of enterprises?
Yeah, Frank, that's right. You really nailed it. That's a lot of what we try to do over the long term is understand where our partners are going. And if you think of the IT function and the finance and accounting function as service organizations to the rest of the business, to sales and marketing and operations, then there is an evolution that has to go on, and you've got to be constantly reinventing yourself, especially with the changes in technology and the changes in financial reporting standards and compliance issues, from SOX to international financial accounting standards, all the things that keep coming at you, these curveballs that are thrown. You've got to be able to be highly efficient in doing the day-to-day things, staying out of jail and keeping the lights on. But you've also got to be a tremendously trusted business partner internally to the rest of the organizations. So we've aligned ourselves to those two functions to help them over the long term continue to stay relevant to their companies as service organizations. And that's hard to do because it's constantly changing. The funding sometimes doesn't always go to the support functions. It goes to sales or it goes to marketing first, and sometimes there's not a whole lot left over. So you have to get very creative in the back office, and that's really what we think we help our clients do.
I think that probably the bigger challenge, and it really is what you're describing, is trying to get a balance out of those things. There was a time where operations and marketing, inventory control and distribution, those kind of things were so siloed, if you will. They really hardly ever communicated with each other. Now I'm guessing a lot of them fall into the lap of the CTO or CIO that's right, having to deal with every single one of those things in some way or another.
That's exactly right. They're the glue that keeps it all together, and thus to be a trusted partner to the rest of the company, the CIO and the CFO, need to make sure that they understand the value of what they're delivering and stand firm. If there's a pet project that an organization wants that's lesser priority and going to take funding from something that's mission critical across all departments of the company, then that's where the CTO or CIO and the CFO need to be standing firm and showing return on investment and looking at the entire portfolio of requests coming from the business and helping the business make tough decisions rather than try to be all things to all people internally. And that's what we see is people struggle with.
You just can't do it.
That's exactly right. You wind up in a failure.
Well, and I think also, again, one of the maybe unintended consequences, but certainly accidental excellence, and that is the fact that creating an environment that allows you to be versatile generalists, dealing, at the risk of using several cliches in a single sentence, but doing the same thing, only different. I mean, computers don't know content, and so I'm guessing that in a lot of cases you can see and hear things that you've got precedent and already have successful models to be able to salvage that other people haven't ever even encountered before and haven't got a clue how to do it. I guess this kind of drifts into that flexible delivery model and the benefit that it poses for your clients.
That's exactly right, Frank, and that's why we built the model the way that we did, so that we can help organizations stay fleet of foot, bring the right expertise, not in a fixed cost way, but in a variable cost way if needed, or if they need it in a long-term fixed cost way, we can provide as a permanent hire. So on the resources side, we team up with the organization while they team up with the vendors on the technology side, and we help them stay relevant, stay current, and also keep that fixed cost structure down, as well as the project cost structure, because we feel like we come in at a much more value rate than some of the traditional big four and other high cost firms that are out there.
When you talk about those two, fixed cost versus project cost, I mean, I guess I'm guessing that managed services are certainly, I mean, to say they're a hot topic, they've been around for a long period of time, but it seems now more than ever, business people want that kind of assurance to know that they've got a certain level of core competency and capability that is, quote unquote, controllable, and yet obviously that's a form of almost standing still, and we all know you can't do that anymore, so you've got to dovetail that project and strategy, if you will, into the flow. Again, is that something that when you sit with your customers, you kind of look at what they need now and then progressively together work on what they need in the future?
You bet. And Frank, and that's going back to that conversation of the CIO and the CFO being partners to the business. If they're involved at the strategy level and understanding where the company's going and developing the portfolio of projects and initiatives, and then looking at the infrastructure, okay, what do we have to have on a daily basis to keep the lights on and to keep us compliant, then the rest becomes additive projects and initiatives on top. And so getting that right blend of permanent resource to cover the base and then and to lead the projects, and then supplementing with the contract staff or the staff augmentation is a never-ending balancing act, and it changes every time the portfolio mix changes. So that's really the challenge that CFOs and CIOs on both sides of the house have these days.
Well, I'd be remiss in not bringing up the growth that you're enjoying at the Intersect Group. In fact, I know that one of the things you're continuously now growing nationwide. I'm guessing that what's good for one area is starting to get really good in other places. And guess what? Maybe you've got some solutions that are generically important to everyone. Tell us a little bit about the growth nationwide and what you see now and what you see coming up.
Yeah, you bet. We have been incredibly blessed here, and I can't be more thankful to be where I'm at. We do believe this model's worked. We've gone from zero to $50 million in about 6 years here in Atlanta.
Wow.
And we've created a model that really works in other markets as well, and we're now proving that. We opened Chicago and we opened Dallas, and both of those are taking off. Dallas is going crazy. Those folks, I don't think they ever knew there was a recession going on in all of Texas, but especially in Dallas. But our consulting practice is able to be leveraged from Atlanta into each of the markets pretty easily, and then the staffing operations are more localized. So we've been able to take the systems and the processes and, most importantly, the service orientation and the training that we do here with our frontline folks and replicate that in those markets. As a matter of fact, we've transferred people to Dallas from Atlanta. It's just been a really great success.
Got to be an incredible, now even greater perspective and a sense of understanding in terms of greater opportunities to hit challenges that are in different geographic areas and be able to share the best practices, quote unquote, with the clients that you have in each one of those specific geographic areas. One of the things that happens, Wade, almost every time that we have a really good interview, one that you want to just continue forever, time runs out. And we're getting to that point, so I have to apologize because I would love to talk about the perspective of Atlanta, the perspective of the things you've learned and grown here that you now are leveraging in some of the Dallas, Chicago areas, and then vice versa, even some of the perspective in how those areas look and think about Atlanta, because that's certainly one of the issues that are happening from a state perspective in terms of our own economic development. But I'll invite you to maybe come back again at another time, and we can delve deeper into, as they say, get into the grass or get granular about some of the other things that you're experiencing in this rapid scalability that you're doing.
Well, I'd be honored to do that, Frank, anytime you want.
Well, unfortunately, we got to call it, but thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to spend a little bit of time with us here on Tech Talk, and really congratulations on the great growth. Those numbers are astronomical just here in Atlanta, but to know that you're spreading out into other areas, we're proud for you and proud of you, and glad to have you as part of our technology community.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me.